Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Short-Term Rentals podcast. My name is Paul Stevens, news editor of Short-Term Rentals, and today I'm speaking to Diana Sanni, who is the newly appointed head of UK at Fulhaus, which provides furniture packages and custom interior design services for furnished short-term vacation rental apartments and Airbnb listings. Hello Diana, how are you?
Hi, Paul. I'm very well, thank you. Very excited to be on this second episode of your podcast. So thank you very much for having me.
And where are you tuning in from today?
I am at home, as I think majority of us are at the moment. But I'm sat by a beautiful window overlooking the park. It's pretty sunny, so it could be worse. I'm extremely feeling really grateful for being able to actually still work during this time, because I think it's one of the few things actually keeping me sane right now.
Absolutely. So, as you know, we're going to be talking about Fulhaus's expansion into the UK. We're going to be reviewing portfolio performance during and post-pandemic, and how companies may need to be more holistic in their market research when it comes to the selection of cities that they're working in. So, my first question would be, Diana, how is your business being directly affected by COVID-19 so far?
Well, we have 4 offices globally. So we have an office in Montreal, New York, Lisbon, and now London, which is currently my front room. So I think the different offices have been affected slightly differently. Obviously, you and I know what's happening in London. We are on lockdown. It's the same in New York. Unfortunately, Montreal went into lockdown a little bit earlier. So it looks like within a week or two, they will actually be able to kind of the new normal, but they'll be able to get back to business. And Lisbon is kind of similar to what's happening in London at the moment. So what that has meant for us operationally is having to pause projects. So anything that was in the process of being installed, we have had to pause and push back. And any projects that we were, in the process of designing and we're about to kick off, our operations partners have delayed some by a few months, so those should be installed in autumn, others for into 2021. So I think there is definite impact on the business on the installation side for us, but as far as all of our existing partnerships, nothing has changed. So, I have had an extremely busy week, having calls with New York, having calls with Montreal, planning with some of our international partners, the design aspect of their projects, because, some of our clients are property developers. So if they have a building that is ready, that needs to be finished, that needs to be furnished, irrespective of what is happening with COVID. So there's still a lot of planning for us to do. So the only thing that has really been impacted at the moment is our operational side, as far as actually installing any live projects.
So you've just been appointed the head of UK at Fulhaus. Congratulations on your new role, by the way.
Thank you.
So why do you think the company has decided to expand its operations into the UK at this particular moment in time? And on top of that, what do you envisage for the next 12 months at Fulhaus, and perhaps what this new future normal might be, perhaps?
That's a great question, Paul. Well, the expansion was already in the pipeline from the end of 2019. So it's not so much that we have decided to come into the UK now. I think it was more, it was already happening as of the start of this year. And we are just figuring our way through it. The next 12 months for us are extremely exciting still. Which is a really, I think, kind of, I don't know, it's a strange thing to say in the market that we're in, hospitality, short-term rentals, because obviously travel and that is the market that is really being affected at the moment, and there will be knock-on effects for the rest of this year into early next year. But I think for us, the next 12 months will be what we're doing right now, with everyone being at home, with not having any installations, with not having any projects going live right now. We have been able to take a step back and really review all of our processes and review all of our strategies and kind of put a plan in place that's, you know, short, medium, long term. So, you know, short term, you know, we're dealing with it the best that we can, like the rest of the industry. And, you know, we are negotiating with our suppliers, we're renegotiating with our clients, we are assisting where we can, you know, and then moving that into, you know, what is the medium term, you know, what will happen in our respective markets that we operate in over the next 6 months. Because I envision our European and our UK market rebounding quicker than maybe our North American, in particular the US. I think Canada, you know, they're going to rebound pretty quickly. So it's kind of understanding where we sit in all of our different markets that we operate in, and, you know, what kind of change we could be making now, even though in the short term it won't make that much of a difference, but in the medium and the long term it will be kind of, you know, it will push us forward a lot quicker. And, you know, so that's kind of what we've been doing.
So looking ahead, how do you think short-term rental operators are going to need to review their full portfolio performance in light of the COVID-19 pandemic? And do you think, I mean, we're already seeing a bit of a trend for this, but do you think we will be seeing more of a move in towards the midterm rental market?
All the clients that I have spoken to, as well as all the kind of industry webinars and online chats that I'm part of, and, you know, that being, you know, STR Europe data, that being Cushman and Wakefield webinars, that being Rentals United and some of the great content they're putting out. And I think the message is very much the same across the board, which is domestic demand is going to drive the market over the next 6 to 12, potentially even the next 18 months. And a lot of the short-term operators are now moving to a midterm and long-term rental strategy, which I think is absolutely the right thing to do. I have seen some data, and based on some of the clients that I have spoken to, also we seem in Fulhaus to have a good understanding which markets we think are going to rebound first, both in Europe and in the US, as in specific cities, which is good because it's all cities that we currently service and it's cities that we have past projects in. So that has been quite interesting. But yes, I think overall there is a move to mid to long term, which is the right move for a lot of short term operators. And as much as, you know, it's not something that we can avoid or skirt around, there will be, you know, consolidation in the market, there will be mergers and acquisitions, and, you know, how that will play out, I don't know, you know, I would be speculating, but I think that the market will definitively change over the next 6 to 12 months.
So to what extent do you think companies like Fulhaus, or those operating under master leases, for example, to what extent do you think they need to be a little bit more holistic and be doing more market research in the cities they're going to be working in?
Definitively. I think, as you know, I was part of the corporate business development team at OYO UK when they started their UK expansion, and that was, you know, super exciting. I think across the board there has been a lot of money raised for really fast growth. So there have been a lot of operators globally that have entered new markets at rocket speed and have, you know, taken on master leases or, you know, bought buildings at an extremely fast rate, whether their focus is tier 1, tier 2 or tier 3. And I think going forward that will change. I think that business model, in my personal opinion, will have to change in the short term and longer term, to be completely honest with you. I think now businesses need to be thinking more holistically, like you said. I think businesses need to have a clear road to profit as opposed to just rocket speed growth. And I think, to be honest, I do think that that is something that we are already seeing in the market. You know, I know you guys have reported on several operators in the US that have either, you know, reduced their headcount or they have closed certain properties. And I think rocket speed growth is no longer a business model that is sustainable. I think everyone needs to be looking at what is your road to profit. And with that comes a more holistic approach, more market research, really understanding which markets you're going to focus on and why. And if I look at Europe, for example, that I know relatively well, everyone wants to come into London. We have a finite amount of real estate. So, an ambitious operator wanting, hoping to do 100 units a month in London, how much market research has gone into that strategy, for example, that, and that's where I think some of the hurdles will be. I think it is about sitting down, doing that market research, understanding the market in depth, and really understanding, what is your unique selling point and where will you sit in the market? Because, if there are already 500 different operators with, a relatively large inventory, for you to penetrate the market, what used to happen is, you would offer above the market rate for your master lease, or you would buy a building at above market rate just to get your foot in the door. And I think going forward, operators do need to think more holistically and really deep dive into every single market that they enter, and have an understanding what that new market entry means for them, for their business strategy overall.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for your insight today. And thank you for talking to me and being our latest guest on the podcast, Diana.
You are more than welcome, Paul. It has been great speaking with you.
And finally, just a reminder that you can follow all of the latest news, features and opinions from the global short-term rental industry on ShortTermRentalz.com, where you can also sign up for our weekly newsletter, which comes out every Monday. Thank you for listening, and see you next time.